Welcome to Recovery Fundamentals. Module 1, Set the Tone. This course will provide you, as caseworkers, disaster action team responders, and disaster health and disaster mental health workers with the skills and tools you will need to effectively and efficiently conduct an initial interview and provide direct client assistance to disaster-affected clients. More than 60,000 times a year, our Red Cross teams respond to people whose homes are damaged or destroyed by natural events such as fires, floods, hurricanes, or tornadoes. Our teams offer comfort, care, and compassion when we listen to clients and help with problem solving. We can help answer client questions like, where will we stay? How will we eat? What will we wear? How will we communicate with family, friends, or employers? Where do we start? Disaster effects are significant. If you or I were to lose our home today due to a disaster, these are the questions we would find ourselves asking. Through this course, you will learn how to meet your client, follow standardized steps for providing assistance, and determine qualification for direct client assistance with the ultimate goal of empowering and supporting clients at a challenging time in the decisions they must make following the disaster. The content in this course can be found in the Casework and Recovery Planning Standards and Procedures, the Immediate Direct Client Assistance Roadmap, and the Direct Client Assistance Price List. To access the tools, go to Volunteer Connection, connect to the Exchange, and then search Casework and Recovery, and select the Casework and Recovery Toolkit. If you print these documents, you can refer to them while completing the activities to come. We will be following the flow of the Client Intake Worksheet, CAS Mobile, and Immediate DCA Roadmap throughout the course. This course is focused on teaching the process for conducting an initial interview and following the DCA roadmap to determine qualification for direct client assistance and providing that assistance. The tools you will use in the field to open client cases and enter client information include CAS Mobile, CAS 2.0, and the Client Intake Worksheet. When you complete this course, you can register for a CAS account and receive detailed training on CAS 2.0. This course consists of 5 modules. In this module, Set the Tone, you will learn how to explain the goals of casework and recovery planning and your role, set the tone, build rapport and trust, and use effective questioning techniques. In Module 2, Meet the Client, you will learn how to determine who will represent the family as the primary client, identify who is in the family, and know when to create multiple cases. You'll also be able to recall how to handle challenging situations that sometimes come up when determining who is the primary client. In Module 3, Conduct the Initial Interview, you'll learn how to conduct the initial interview with your client, record accurate client information for entry into CAS 2.0, and assist clients with problem solving according to their priorities. In Module 4, Assess Direct Client Assistance Qualifications, you will learn how to assess qualifications for immediate direct client assistance and lodging assistance using the Immediate DCA Roadmap and provide direct client assistance to qualified clients. Finally, in Module 5, Recovery Procedures on a Level 3 Disaster Relief Operation, you will learn how the qualifications for direct client assistance in a disaster relief operation shift from those of a Level 1 or 2 event, how to assess qualifications for immediate direct client assistance and lodging assistance in a disaster relief operation, and learn about changes in our casework team structure, the casework setting, and timeline differences for the initial interview and for direct client assistance. Let's begin with an overview of the recovery steps for your client. The initial interview is the first step of the casework and recovery planning services available to clients during their recovery timeline, which will vary for each client. Typically, this extends up to 45 days from the first interview, but could be extended in a larger disaster. These services are available to all clients, even those who did not request services immediately following an event or those unaware of this assistance weeks or even months following the disaster. Depending on the identified needs, we may offer to develop individual recovery plans, support clients in problem solving, provide direct client assistance if qualified, provide referrals to other organizations, advocate on behalf of a client with a third party such as a landlord, connect clients to services provided by health and disaster mental health practitioners. The process begins when we determine who is the primary client, who is in the family or household, and who will be included in the case. Next, we conduct the initial interview to gather information about the client. We ask the client if they would accept direct client assistance. If they say yes, we determine if they are qualified, and if they are, we provide the assistance. If the client is not willing to accept direct client assistance, we move on to step 4 to provide recovery planning. Recovery planning continues for all clients in the following days or weeks. Let's review your role in this process. In your role, you will meet with your client and provide immediate care, comfort, and concern while actively listening and showing compassion. You will learn about skills and techniques you can use to build rapport and trust with the client, and how to identify who is part of the family and who will be the primary client based on the recovery plan. These are the skills you will use during the initial interview. Once you are prepared, you will conduct the initial interview with your client. This includes gathering client and family member information, identification, asking if disaster mental health, also referred to as DMH, or disaster health services, also referred to as DHS, is needed, or if there are other immediate needs, getting the client consent choice to share information, asking if the client is willing to accept direct client assistance, and supporting your client in decision-making and problem-solving. If the client accepts DCA, record if home is livable or not livable. You or your partner may get this from the fire department or by visually seeing it. Then you will use the direct client assistance roadmap to assess qualification and the amount of immediate direct client assistance, including lodging assistance, and then you'll provide the assistance. The last step you will complete with your client is wrapping up. This involves summarizing and reviewing the recovery plan for the next few days, offering to help with hotel or other arrangements, and providing the summary of client assistance, moving forward booklet, and Red Cross contact information. Thank the client and say goodbye. Make sure the rest of the client information that you took care to write down is entered in CAS within 24 hours. This is a very important step in your client's recovery. Each of the steps in this process has been designed in such a way that you can be consistent with all clients and empower clients to make their own informed decisions, since they're the ones who are in charge of their recovery decision making. Keep the process simple and streamlined so you can really stay focused on the client to help them start moving forward in their recovery. Our work is based on the fundamental principles of the Red Cross, especially humanity, impartiality, and neutrality in all of your interactions with clients. Sometime today, someone will lose their home to a home fire. A flood might threaten a community, or perhaps a tornado will touch down. We hope that after taking this course, you will feel prepared to support our clients in their recovery. You, as an interviewer, DAT responder, caseworker, or supervisor, are assigned to one functional group according to your role. This provides financial accountability and separation of duties. This also determines your CAS role and permissions. This means, as an interviewer, you may not manage the region's inventory of client assistance cards or perform fiscal reviews of the disbursements to your clients. You can find additional details in the financial controls for direct client assistance standards and procedures. All interviewers, DAT responders, caseworkers, disaster health, and disaster mental health workers, including supervisors, are in Function 3. As you complete this course, keep in mind that you must carefully document direct client assistance and client information so that fiscal reviewers can perform a timely fiscal review of each disbursement to clients. It is time to meet the client. Imagine a breaking news story. A fire was reported around 11 a.m. at an apartment building. Firefighters responded quickly, and the blaze has been put out. So far, no casualties have been reported, and the extent of the damage is not clear. Your partner has already arrived, spoken with the fire department, completed an on-scene assessment, and gathered information about the affected apartments. Were they livable or not livable? You learn you will conduct the first interview for this disaster with the Jackson family. You and your partner will stay in contact and should be within sight or hearing of each other. You will meet Rhonda Jackson and her family, whose home was affected by this disaster. You know your first responsibility is to offer Ms. Jackson and her family compassion, empathy, and active listening while observing how they've been impacted and what assistance may be of help. You'll want to listen to Ms. Jackson's story of what happened and how the family members were affected, and then encourage Ms. Jackson to share how the family members have been affected, identify the family's needs, help her to begin developing a recovery plan, explain that the Red Cross can provide services and assistance, set the stage for follow-up casework and recovery planning. Let's review some basics for meeting with this client and preparing to conduct the initial interview. To begin, you will need to set the appropriate tone. When you approach the client, introduce yourself by name and let the client know you are with the Red Cross. Address the client as Mr. or Ms. Show compassionate care and professionalism while assisting with personal recovery planning and problem solving. Create a trusting and collaborative relationship with the family's representative who will be the primary client. Take the time to establish this connection. Taking a few minutes at the beginning of the interaction will help to establish trust and increase the likelihood of a positive experience. It will also help you to understand who lived in the home and their plans for recovery. You have a client who is very upset and not feeling well. What are some ways you can set the tone with this client? To build rapport, show a genuine interest. Be warm and friendly. Support your client's plans. Show empathy. Remain neutral. Respect your client's perspectives. Build a positive rapport from the start and then keep building this relationship through the entire meeting. Continue to show empathy and communicate effectively. Give the client your full attention. Be aware of your body language, including eye contact, posture, facial expressions, gestures, tone of voice, touch, and how closely the two of you are sitting. When reading body language, be aware of cultural differences. Also, pay attention to mixed messages between the client's words and body language. Consider body language as a whole. Don't read too much into a single gesture. Trust your instincts and support your client. What is your client's priority right now? Completing the interview and receiving financial assistance or problem solving? Your client will get DCA if qualified. It's about what to do right now. Follow the 3 C's: concern, comfort, and calm through your conversation. Remember that for many clients, this may be the first time asking for help from any agency. Show concern. Use active listening by talking to the client and not to a keyboard or papers. Encourage the client to tell their story to learn the client's top priorities. Show caring, empathy, and compassion, and be mindful of the client's body language as well as your own. Remain neutral while supporting the client's recovery and maintain client privacy and confidentiality. Provide comfort. Invite the client to a private or comfortable location whenever possible. Respect the client's circumstances, specific needs and concerns, and notice cultural factors that affect the client's needs. Avoid making any assumptions and encourage client independence by offering information and choices that bring the next step within reach. Offer water or a snack if available, and locate a restroom if needed. Provide calm. Focus on the client. Avoid interruptions and distractions. Be patient. Be aware that many adults and children wish to remain together during or after a time of crisis. Set boundaries for the relationship by not sharing your personal experiences and not over-identifying with the client. As you are building rapport with your client, you'll want to also make sure you are preparing to interview safely and are following the right steps. Make sure you are in an appropriate location for the interview, and if not, find a new location. Be aware of the weather conditions and move to a covered or indoor location if needed. Look for a private setting and one that is comfortable for your client. Be aware of noise levels. Loud noises, such as running engines of fire trucks, can detract from the client's ability to share. You may ask the client's neighbor if you can meet with the client at their kitchen table, a comfortable and private but not isolated location. Remain within sight or hearing of others, but also avoid a setting that is too public, such as too close to the client's neighbor or on a cot in a busy shelter. Make sure you have a way to quickly contact your team member and your supervisor during the interview. Evaluate your own security as well as the safety of others. Make sure your location does not present a safety risk to anyone. If you feel the situation is becoming unsafe for any reason, contact your team member or supervisor and move to safety. Be aware of other ways you can assist. Know how to help your client with hotel arrangements or a taxi if asked. If your client has a pet, you or your partner may need to help find a friend or animal shelter or kennel to care for the pet while the client is in a hotel. Keep phone numbers for local pet shelters available and refer your client when needed. Listen for your client's priorities. When a client has a missing, injured, or deceased family member or pet, that person is understandably distracted by this. Ask the client whether they are ready to talk about recovery planning or whether another adult in the family should meet with the interviewer and serve as the primary client instead. Allow the client to talk about the situation and offer to help find support or information. During the interview, your client may share a good deal of information with you. Listen to your client, showing care and concern, but keep in mind that much of what you hear you do not need to document. Be sure you are actively listening for the information you need and what parts of the story you will need to document and what belongs in the case record. For instance, you do not need to document when you hear your client tell rumors about how and who started the fire, thoughts about the rental property maintenance, details about their personal experience like, I was on the phone when the fire alarm went off. I rushed out with the kids when I heard yelling in the hallway. Then I saw the fire department was directing residents this way. Do not engage in speculations or share your feelings, opinions, or solutions. Rather, allow the client to talk about issues or concerns. Later, the follow-up caseworker can advocate for the client if needed. Your client might be distressed or agitated. If this is the case, remain calm and collected and support your client. Empathize with the client. Allow the client to be emotional and listen to their concerns. Avoid arguing. Accept the client's version of the facts and focus on problem solving. Ask yourself, why are they in distress? Is there something that can be done right away that can improve the client's situation? Ask if you can call a family member or friend to activate the client support system. Would a talk with a disaster counselor, DMH, tomorrow be helpful? Assist the client in reducing their stress and anxiety. Offer water. Speak softly and slowly to help reduce the client's stress and anxiety. Maintain worker-client boundaries. Focus on your client and don't talk about your experiences. Remind the client that you are there to assist them. If the need arises, take steps to ensure your safety and the safety of your client. Remember, your partner and supervisor are available to you. You can help direct the conversation and build trust and empathy using a variety of interview techniques. Direct the conversation by asking open-ended questions. At this stage, let the client go into depth on their experiences and provide details. Open-ended questions lead with words like what, how, who, when, where, and which. Examples of some open-ended questions include, tell me about your experience. Help me understand blank. What are your first plans or goals? Direct the conversation by asking open-ended questions. At this stage, let the client go into depth on their experiences and provide details. Open-ended questions lead with words like what, how, who, when, where, and which. Examples of some open-ended questions include, tell me about your experience. Help me understand blank. What are your first plans or goals? Clients in a crisis may feel as though they're the only ones to experience distress. They can also question their own reactions to the stressful situation. Setting a sense of normalcy is important. Assure the client that given the situation, their experience and reactions are expected and common to many others after a disaster. This can help the client cope with strong reactions. For example, having a hard time collecting your thoughts is completely normal and understandable under the circumstances. Many people react that way after a disaster. Stress can make it difficult for people to think and talk clearly. Show that you were listening and summarize to confirm that you understood. When you begin taking notes later, use this technique to confirm with the client that you have a clear understanding of their needs. You can summarize what the client has said by using phrases such as, it sounds like, am I correct that? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand that you, did I leave anything out? In your conversation with Ms. Jackson, what are some open-ended questions you might ask to open the conversation and encourage her to share her story? Some examples include, tell me what happened. Explain to me what your current situation is. How can I help you? What do you need? When conducting the interview, you will want to set expectations and boundaries. Set the client's expectations from the initial interview, and in doing so, set the appropriate boundaries for your relationship in order to set a calm tone for the meeting. Understand the client's situation and learn about their priorities. This is a stressful time, so be sure to follow the client's lead about whether to shorten the interview or whether the client wants to focus on problem solving or talk through their experience. Empower the client. Focus on the client's strengths. Build the client up. Actively listen to the client. Listen more than talk. An effective worker is attuned to the client's words and behavior as well as their needs. Acknowledge that you need to take some notes and gather some information. For example, I just want to make sure I accurately record your information. Do you mind if I take some notes and ask some questions as we go along? Allow silence. Silence is a good part of listening. It may take a client a few moments to gather their thoughts, although such silences may feel uncomfortable, especially over the phone. Allow this time for the client to collect themselves and process what they would like to say. For example, when a person says, "I don't know," in response to a challenging question, give them a little more time to answer. Many people will then add to their first answer. Be honest. Answer questions honestly. If you do not know something, it is better to tell the client that you or another Red Cross caseworker will get back to them with the information than to try to guess the answer. Do not make promises you cannot keep. Be yourself. Genuine concern is far more important than saying the right words. When you are authentic, your interaction will be more natural, putting both you and the client at ease. Remember, avoid unnecessary personal questions and do not relate the client's experience to other clients or to your own. Let's visit with Ms. Jackson and practice applying the various techniques and guidelines you've learned so far. Answer the following scenario questions. As you conduct your interview with Ms. Jackson, she says to you, "I don't even know where to start. I can't believe this. What am I supposed to do?" Which interview guideline would help you determine an appropriate response? The answer is meet the client in their current situation. You could say something like, "It's a lot to think about. Let's take it one step at a time." Let's look at a few more examples. Ms. Jackson says to you, "Will you tell my landlord what I told you about my niece who used to live here?" Which interview guideline would help you determine an appropriate response? The best answer is maintain client privacy and confidentiality. You could say something like, "It's your choice whether to share this information with your landlord. We would not share information about you or your family with your landlord unless you gave us permission." Ms. Jackson says to you, "We don't have a place to stay tonight, and we didn't bring any of the kids' things with us." Which interview guideline would help you determine an appropriate response? The best answer is encourage client independence. You could say something like, "We will work through that together to find some options for you to consider." Inform the client that you will ask a few more questions and can offer financial assistance to qualified clients that can then be used for a hotel and personal needs. Ms. Jackson says to you, "Can I call you anytime?" Which interview guideline would help you determine an appropriate response? The best answer is establish expectations and boundaries. You could say something like, "I'm a volunteer and work on shifts. You can reach a caseworker on duty. I will make sure you have a contact number for follow-up with Red Cross." Great job! This concludes Recovery Fundamentals Module 1, Set the Tone. In this module, you learned about the recovery process, your role, and how to set the tone, build rapport and trust, and use effective questioning techniques. You are now ready for Module 2, Meet the Client, where you will learn how to identify the primary client, who should be included in a family or household, and when to create multiple cases. You will also learn how to handle difficult situations, like when challenges come up about determining who is the primary client. Thank you for watching this module. The following slides contain photo credits.